right now. Played the Ezreal mid for the first time in 7 years with the static shiv. Let's see if he wants to do it again.
Yeah, I'd be okay with the Ezreal coming back. I just think that you don't need a Kindred ban when you can ban Aphelios instead. Or pick it up first. Maybe these bans can stay the same if you pick the right stuff. The beauty of blue side is the fact that you can do that. You do get the first choice. So Nico going to be taken away once again.
This feels familiar.
Yep, to catch everyone back up, Kindred, Vi, Annie, Nico, LeBlanc, Cassante were the bans to come through last time. And so far, we have fully mirrored bans.
Yeah, and it's continuing. So what would be really interesting is if Kwangno just first picks the Aphelios, and we see if T1 can play the Yuumi Zeri into that, and we see like the tables turn. They did pick the Sejuani, and I think we're just running it back, and we are going to completely push this through again. Now remember, there was a great ult from Oner, and that overextension in the all-in in the bottom lane is what led to Guma getting those 2 kills. Maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe you're open to a different game. Maybe that bottom side dive doesn't work the same way with Oner's follow-up ult. Now Riven, that would be fun.
Yeah, I think that's the adaptation that you need to go for here is T1. You know, you won not quickly enough in game 1, and so therefore Riven would be the best way to do it. I think it makes complete sense. No, Aphelios Milio was, of course, what was picked up last time, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I wonder if there's an adaptation here for... Well, I'll just stop wondering. Never mind. So we're running it back. This is the CV Max way, though.
Yep, this is how they got 0-3'd when he was part of Griffin against T1 in the final for summer in 2019, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Or was it spring? I don't know.
It was summer, I think. That was the Talia...
Yeah.
The Talia Pantheon.
It was.
Finals, right?
We'd call that a fiasco. Yes,
yeah.
Indeed. It was not great, and that was a bit of a run back there as well. There were some Lucian funnel games that involved a bit of that as well. As this is exactly the same, ladies and gentlemen.
Literally.
Yone is in a different order.
Ban Poppy at least, right? Like ban Poppy here. Okay, right?
I think you can spare the Wukong ban. I don't know whether you need the Wukong ban.
I don't think so either. I think you could ban Poppy, Viego, and still feel very good about your chances here. And especially when you consider that the Wukong is going to be very weak in the early game. It's going to work towards some of your goals, but I mean, who are we to say, right? Apparently, we're just running it back. Okay, so yeah, we're just going to go through the same draft again.
So Talia, I guess. Like, T1's mixing it up at least because it's a different order. I just want to say, yeah, there we go. Love that. Love that. Okay.
So Viego now?
Yep, Viego needs... If they ban Poppy here, I feel like, you know, we've began the meme. And so it's a bit sad that it's the Poppy ban instead. But I think it would be a much better idea if they were to take that one down. As mentioned on the space, as Renekton going to be banned away.
Interesting. So trying to trade. But you already have Sejuani. Yeah. This is kind of a weird one for me. I don't think we're going to see Sejuani Viego. We have seen it in the past where you actually go, all right, I'll play Sejuani top with Viego, really strong duo there. Ezreal going to continue to be the same as Bulldog is smirking. Oh, but he changes it to Tristana. Draft adaptation, and Renekton was banned. Jax is coming through.
And it's still going to be Gragas.
It definitely is. It's really strong into Jax.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
Can weather the storm on Tristana. If she goes in, Gragas kills her.
Or Quinn.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That would be fun, though. Actually.
The Riven would be fun.
It would be fun.
Feels like a shout out to Khan, you know?
I think they're just going to play Gragas.
Yeah, I think they will. Zeus has won every game except one on the Gragas so far in his career. He's looked pretty good on the champion. So, and is the Tristana Jax going to be enough to change the outcome of this game?
I would say, I would go as far as say, to me, based on obviously the draft is the same for T1 here, but the side of Kwangdong Freaks, I like the Ezreal more for what this draft is doing than the Tristana, so I feel like that's a slight downgrade, but it can do a little bit more in lane potentially. I think what the Jax can do is an upgrade for me because it has the ability to leap into team fights and follow up on some of those engages from the Sejuani a lot better. Very difficult to lock the Jax down the same way that they were able to push due to out of fights as the Renekton, so I like this aspect of the draft more. But the Tristana makes this draft completely warped in that it's about burst damage, stronger, more aggressive side laning, a little bit more permanent damage you can put into turrets, but it's not going to be that same sort of Ezreal Q and poke from range. It's the exact opposite. It's extremely low range, high damage. So maybe looking to assassinate the enemy Azir, assassinate the enemy Aphelios a little bit more consistently, but I just don't trust that this is going to be enough adaptation here. I think it still has similar weaknesses to what the last draft had and is much more one-dimensional in its engage opportunities.
Yeah, no, it is very, very odd that it is basically the same draft, but with some slight changes. And maybe Dudu can be the instigator of change here on this Jax, who can possibly get something done in the late game. We'll just have to find out as we hop onto the Rift for Game 2. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 2. Bulldog is training his dragon. Is there actually going to be a live action How to Train Your Dragon? I think I saw something about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds like a thing. In my head, I'm like, was that a thing already? I guess maybe not, but...
It wasn't a thing already. I really loved the movies, though. I don't know how making a live action is all that necessary. You just make a third one.
Yeah.
Wait, there was a third one. Maybe a fourth one. Just keep making them. They were fantastic.
It's weird. It's like suddenly animation. We're like, we're not doing that anymore. We just want everything to be live action. And I'm like, CG technology's come really far.
I think it's actually both. You just want to do both. You know, you make the animation first so that you can then make another live action version of the same thing.
True. Yeah, I can see that.
It just sort of you prolong the idea. I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
I mean, for me, like my favorite How to Train Your Dragon was the one where Bulldog played Aurelion Sol first.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was my favorite How to Train Your Dragon. Had a sad ending, but I thought it was pretty cool.
No, it was fun in the middle. It was a bit sad that it was a tragedy. That's true. But sometimes you learn a lot more from those. They can be a bit more meaningful.
Back to the game for just a brief moment, as we will have some Spell Thief's Edge proccing and stuff like that. I think that one thing that this Kwangdong draft does that's very different with the Renekton versus the Jax and the Tristana, obviously, versus the Ezreal is the hard 1-3-1 with Zeri that becomes really, really strong and very difficult to deal with if Kwangdong Freaks are ahead. And if they're even, it's also a big problem. If they're very far behind, it won't matter. T1 can just chase them around and clean them up very easily with Poppy. But from ahead, this draft is very terrifying if they can get there, and we've seen Kwangdong Freaks get ahead and then drop their leads. Maybe this is the time where that changes. Maybe it's going to be Shiv Zeri, you know, with all that extra wave clear. Let's wait and see. But I do think this draft, it's not inspiring, but it is definitely one that can be quite strong if the right conditions are met. Ooh, Dudu getting that big counter-strike there, but it looks like a bait. It's a bait.
Oner's moving in. Gets the flash already as he throws a buckler. And Dudu is going to be able to squash it like a bug. But in goes Bulldog. Looks to try and charge up that explosion onto Faker. Fair bit of damage here. He did have access to the rapid fire as well, so those autos coming out in swift fashion. Very nicely done by the Tristana to win out on the trade, even though he did take a fair bit of damage.
And you mentioned this earlier. Hold up. Dudu, no flash.
So Zeus going for a bit of an all-in, but the flash does come through. Winter's Wrath comes down as well as they dive on top. Permafrost going to be there, and that is Young Jay picking up first blood. Very nicely done. Bit of a turnaround here for the Kwangdong Freaks as they get the heal out on the bottom side, though. T1 able to fight back, at least down here.
Get that Jax ahead. That's the name of the game. They feel like, okay, Dudu's got no flash. We're safe up here, but unfortunately, Sejuani and Jax have great synergy and was able to get on top of Zeus there. His flash is also burned despite the death. You know, he's not going to be able to use that for any follow-ups, and we could see this happen one more time. Taeyeon holding his own here. But one thing I was going to mention that you mentioned also before the series started is how good Bulldog is on the Tristana, regardless of LeBlanc. It was the first pick he played in the LCK to great success. Then we started to see more players play it. Chovy picked it up, etc.
It was the anti-Kassadin pick.
Yeah.
And as soon as he came in, he was able to demonstrate that this is something that he was doing to a lot of players in Challenger. It's really, really cool.
Okay. 2/3 of that health gone here for Taeyeon. Oner's coming over. Gravitum is ready. Youngjae here too.
Yeah, as Heroic Charge going to get the flash out as the exhaust already used, and Oner taking a lot of damage. So at least Taeyun and Jun are able to sit underneath this turret and grab the experience, but the plate is still going to go. The cozy campfire comes in. Faker just says, "Get away from my turret." Yeah. Silly dragon gun lady.
Tossing some Ares at him.
As in goes Dudu, and Zeus gonna do that thing that Gragas likes to do, which is body slam the counter-striking Jax.
Yeah, it's weird how the counter-strike becomes the first strike, actually, and the body slam becomes the counter-strike, actually.
Oh, yeah, true.
It's kind of weird how that works out.
It is a bit strange.
They should just swap the names.
Yeah.
Because then just turn Jax.
Oh, no. It's counter-strike and then counter-strike 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's very topical.
As Jun is in a little bit of trouble, but he'll still be able to go home. Should be A-okay, as Taeyun will be able to skate his way back to lane.
So is like Fiora's riposte into Jax Valorant? Like, how do we get this out?
Which one's Overwatch? Not entirely sure.
This is going to be a plate, by the way, going over to Bulldog here. Solo in mid as Faker was backing. I believe he picked it up. Not quite, maybe. No, not quite, actually. I thought he was able to get that, but he's not. Still nearly a plate and a lot of damage coming through as Bulldog rushes over to that. Sejuani not able to pick anything up. Dudu is very low.
Yeah, that is a cast, as he does have the counter-strike. Stuns up some minions here as Dudu is on a merry jaunt. Will be able to at least leap strike away. And Zeus doesn't look too interested in going for any sort of a solo kill or anything like that. Doesn't have flash, doesn't have very much mana. And so just isn't really interested. Poppy making her way back towards his top side as well as Youngjae will join the fight.
Really important that Oner is here. He is reading this so well, and Youngjae has no vision of this.
Yeah, 0 mana available for Zeus, but will the Poppy be the difference maker as he tries to leap strike away? The ult comes forward, but Dudu's in so much trouble. Youngjae, I don't think he can do it alone. And Oner in perfect position. Bulldog getting aggressive, and he solo kills Faker.
Faker's Azir nonetheless here. We talked about how good he is at this champion, and he makes it work once more. And I mean, that's it. You hit level 6, you have that all-in angle. Faker just cannot match. So a huge win on the top side of the map for Oner, but still for Bulldog in the mid lane picks up a ton of money, and he's got a Cull as well. So once that finishes, this Tristana in the mid game in the side lane is going to be a menace.
Oh yeah.
But this Jax falling behind early now as well in the top side of the map really hurts that split push win condition. So we got about half of it going well here for Kwon. On the other half, T1 feeling very comfortable, especially down here on the bottom side of the map. We're jumping away from the red-white. As Oner here sweeps this out, he shows for just a moment, but the Hex Flash comes in, and it's like the second Dudu realizes it's too late, and Youngjae unable to make anything happen. Then in the mid lane, we'll watch this first-person view here for Bulldog as level 6 is hit for Faker. Does he just flash the Emperor's Divide?
He just said he was going in for a trade.
Going in for a trade, he said. And Faker actually doesn't ult at all.
Yeah, he was trading his ultimate for Faker's life. That's what he was doing. Looked pretty good doing it as well, did Bulldog. And we mentioned his prowess on this champion, so it might be that he is going to be that win condition that we were looking for. Also, like to add that the bottom lane here for Quantum Freaks is doing a lot better than they were doing previously. You can see there's nothing in it when it comes to CS or anything like that. Of course, T1 still holding their own just fine, but it was a little bit on fire in game number 1, as now Faker, with this flash still available, might lose it here as Emperor's Divide is going to be thrown out, and there is a flash forward. Faker going to be able to avoid the Glacial Prison. Used his flash though, as you can see, Bulldog going to stick around. Faker is on an excursion, and he will die. And Bulldog's going to be able to collect the kill here as Dudu fighting once again, but maybe he shouldn't. But it's Dudu, he's going to fight. That is the way of the Dudu. And maybe it's just going to be an error, as Dudu does not manage to get the counter-strike. Gets the body slam out from Zeus, though.
Different kind of body slam in response this time, but gets away. But this should still be Herald going over to Kwangdong Freaks here. Now, can Oner make something happen? He hit level 6. Once again here on the bottom side, if Guma picks up some kills or some additional plates, it'll be an even trade. Looking for the opportunity.
Yeah, Taeyun going to get that ultimate off as the final chapter comes down. Oner taking so much damage as Taeyun keeping himself alive for now. The flash forward, and the devastating blow is going to come down. And then Jun, nothing he can do about this. Tries to sneak into the brush, but Gumayusi just going to take him down there. And very swift couple of kills.
I mean, Tristana has 2 kills in mid. Faker died twice, but this is once again the menace that is Aphelios with Emilio on his back. He can do so much from so long away, and Oner sets it up. Now, 2 kills going to the Poppy, only 1 to the Aphelios so far in this game, but still, this is a massive lead that you just cannot underestimate the power of. And sure, you got the Rift Herald on the other side, but what T1 gets is much more. As Faker is able to ult away, and the fact that this Glacial Prison doesn't hit is very wild. It looked like it was basically on top of him, but he's able to narrowly avoid it, then tries to go for the execute here and buy some time. Ultimately, still the kill going over to Bulldog, not the Sejuani. And then this from Oner is just so clean. Buckler to start, Taeyun ults here, but look at the spacing from Guma. And at this point, again, we talked about this, the ultimate is good, it splits between the two of them. Oner flashes to make sure he can get that auto off before he's burned down. And then it's just plus 300 extra here for Guma. We talked about the Yuumi just being an extra kill here when those all-ins happen. Just unfortunately a casualty of the dive. Now 15 CS behind. Now that number is starting to become quite significant.
Oh yeah, it's started to become a bit of a problem. This is right when I was saying, oh, Taeyun and June are doing fine, it's okay. Well, it's not okay anymore. It's absolutely the opposite of okay. And you can see Youngjae realizing that he's going to be necessary as he dives forward. Gumayusi going to be stunned up as the flash forward from Keria just to soak the CC. And Oner's moving down. Keria still just happy to throw out these ultra mega fire kicks and get rid of them as Zeus throwing doo-doo around.
Yeah, and on the bottom side, that was a great play from Keria. Both flashes down now, unfortunately for the T1 bottom side, but we'll still be able to try to turn this into a Drake. I think it might be a bridge too far. Guma alone.
Yeah, and Taeyun going to run after him. He does find the ultimate with the Severin, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The healing going to be there. And Taeyun and Jun, they managed to find him sleeping a little bit, as Keria had left him alone.
Yeah, Keria left him alone. His ultimate was down. That's why he had to flash in that last fight to get in front of the CC. Now it's back up. But then now Guma without flash just has no way to get out of this one. And Zeus is going to pick up a plate here on the top side. This game, just this non-stop action is much different from our first series. That is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Drake is still up. We're 11:30 in. And it's just sitting there ripe for the taking. Kwang don't have a lot of vision around it, but it's just been fighting rather than objectives that we are focused on here.
Yeah, and we'll have to see where this Rift Herald's going to go as well, because that could be a fair bit of money now available for Quantum Freaks. See this one more time.
You mentioned Keria just isn't here. There's a lot of burst damage in this. It's a 2v1. Youngjae is also here trying to help out, and by the time that Keria can get over there and put a campfire on himself, it's too little too late. But it's not enough control to give the Drake over to Kwang. Once again alone.
I have seen this movie before. Never mind. Red, white, and Gumayusi just happily spins away. But still, does require Keria to really have all of that control. Gets a warm hug, and he'll be all right. As Dudu has pressed his ultimate button, Zeus doesn't have his available as, oh dear, okay, she will be able to get a charge, delivers some plate money towards Bulldog and Youngjae. That was almost a catastrophe, but avoided in the end.
Guma here still has red-white, but he's probably getting low on that Severum. You could see it's clicked on, his 10 left, so he's getting to the end of that red-white here, so trying to force these continual trades will push him away from that for this potential objective take here. It's 12.5 minutes now. This Drake hasn't been taken, and with the constant action, Youngjae alone here will need some help.
Yeah, Faker coming down as Oner able to get towards this control ward. He sensed ward. And Dudu just spinning. Zeus just looking real comfortable as this Gragas in the lane. As I've seen this one before as well, as Taeyun is chasing after them. Teleport to come forward. Keeper's Verdict is channeled as Youngjae is going to spot him out. That is going to be the Melio falling down. Still, Gumayusi kind of terrifying. Yeah. As he offers a lot of damage back, but still, it's a victory for the Kwangdong Freaks.
And this is what I was talking about in the draft. You know, maybe you run this one back. Maybe this time you don't actually give those 2 kills over when you go for the hard commit bottom side. They do hard commit, and yes, Oner is there, but he doesn't come up with anything.
Taeyun skating in as Gumayusi now in never mind. Gumayusi just going to kill him. Gumayusi now going to kill the cat, and
Taeyun is losing his mind as well in the player cam. Look at him, he just cannot believe that he's just thrown that massive lead that they just picked up right into the dumpster.
Yeah.
He was the funnel and he put it above the dumpster and he was like, I'll put my lead right in here.
Yeah.
Because that was a play that you could make to try to get further ahead and maybe pick up some plate gold right before 14 minutes, but now you've given 2 kills to the Aphelios because the Yuumi, like we've mentioned so many times, is just going to be another plus 300. Now the Aphelios is about to pick up 2 items here. Picked up the BF sword, and the Drake is going to go over to T1. You could have just done so many other things. Now this is where it starts. This is where they get the lead. Taeyun ults here. Red gun just ran out for Guma. When they have so much damage, Bulldog coming in here looking for a reset. He wants so much more. But of course, Oner not going to be able to offer anything back. And then this is Guma's reaction.
왜 박았다 얘네?
He's like, they're coming on me, and LOL. Okay, let's see if Zeus can get out of this one.
Yep, Everfrost is pretty good there as they get the teleport out as Dudu. Yeah, that's basically 1v2, and now Faker is going to be able to finish that one off. Quantum Freak's kind of falling apart at the seams.
It's a frustrating state of affairs because it's not the first time we've seen Kwangdo make a great play into either doing nothing with it or just doing the wrong thing with it. In this case, just completely overextending down there on the bottom side. And now another play top side backfires. So they're going to get a turret out of this.
And Jun says, no, I'm going back. I need the experience. He will be able to get it. Bulldog is at least in a much more fed situation than he was on the Ezreal in Game 1.
His Dragon Gun is very well trained.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Faker going to be able to grab a second turret here, though, for T1.
It's a 2-for-1 here, unfortunately, on the side of T1, and not even a 1 just yet, as Bulldog is pushed away here by Zeus.
2-for-1 here in Korea, we like to call a 1+1.
Yeah, 1+1.
Yeah, I bought a 1+1 Fanta this morning.
Every time it's not a 1+1, I just call it a 1+ none.
Yeah, it's just a 1. It's very sad. I just prefer not to purchase them at that stage.
2+1 is the one that really makes me angry, though.
Oh,
I just wanted 1, but now I feel like I have to buy 2.
And then you get 3.
Then I have 3, I'm like,
I've only got 2 hands!
I have like 3 times the things I want. What's up with that?
Yeah, yeah. And then you have to get a bag as well.
Exactly!
Unless you can train your feet and then you hop home.
Well, I mean,
carry 1 with your foot.
Well, with this situation here, with all these turrets being traded, you might need some body bags for the Kwangdong side of things. This game is very quickly moving away from them. They're going to try to Hail Mary this Rift Herald here. TP coming through. This is not a fight I think you can take without a miracle exchange.
Well, let's see what they can actually do about this one as Bulldog taking a bit of damage. There is a great ultimate out from Keria. It nullifies the Glacial Prison beautifully as the final chapter is going to come through, but I have a feeling T1 are going to write the actual one.
I mean, a lot of damage here for Taeyun, but there's no
Bulldog
kills.
going to have to flash get himself out of this one. There is the fadeaway Moonlight Vigil, and the final shot from these Sand Soldiers will get rid of the Tristana. And now, Ultra Mega Fire Kick comes in. Another campfire going to be set up here as Taeyun. Can you actually find your moment? Emperor's Divide is going to find Dudu there, and nothing really going to come of it. As now Taeyun, he's pressed his ultimate, and it looks like T1, they just don't want to try and fight this. They're just not going to risk it. They're taking off 1 at a time. Young Jay looking to try and get out of here, but there is the Flash Heroic Charge. And the Cat not going to escape this one. Going to interrupt the you and me, and it's another double for Gumayusi.
It's an ace?
Yeah, that should be Faker locking down the final kill here.
Unofficial, maybe?
Potentially, as there we go. Ace comes through, and it's Oner that collects it with a buckler to the back of the head.
And, I mean, this is off of trying to hard force a Rift Herald. It's second Herald of the game. And, I mean, your composition has great side lane scaling aspects. You have a Zeri here. The game is probably lost, right? Like, we could be realistic about this, but trying to force this fight means it's a guaranteed loss. And if you just walk away, maybe you get some side lane wins later, as we're going to go back to this moment here where it looks like an opportunity here to kill that Gragas that was alone, but with the TP here from Faker, you're never really alone. Dudu is so low, instantly killed here. And then just trying to hard force this one. Mission accomplished on the objective. And also Taeyun does a lot of bounce damage in this fight with the help of the Yuumi. But once your engage is gone, you have no ultimates left anymore. I mean, you just can't do this anymore, and you're going to get run down. You're going to get chased down here. Now you're like, okay, we're between a rock and a Faker.
Yeah.
And there's just no escape. There's no way out. And now you're just going to be wiped at the cost of everyone's life here. You pick up the Eye of the Herald, which is not going to amount to anything here. It's just frustrating to watch Kwangdong just completely collapse.
And it was just after that play, I felt like they were making really good decisions until it just didn't work. And once again, Oner showing his prowess on this Poppy, being able to deny the Kitty Cat so well. But we have to go back to the draft that just did not change. They allowed T1 to pick all of these champions again, and they just falling into the same traps of game number 1. It's not like it's a surprise.
Yeah, it's really not. And, I mean, again, the one thing you could do differently is just try to avoid fights and try to use the map to your advantage and pull T1 around with your Tristana, with your Jax. But if you just group on a Herald, they're going to be happy to join you when they're this far ahead. And it's just opting into a fight and trying to race the Herald rather than looking elsewhere. And I'm not going to tunnel on this anymore because...
Yeah, beating a dead horse just a little bit, but it is frustrating when they're like, there are bans for a reason, right? Get rid of the champions that the team is the most comfortable playing. As Gravitum going to come through, that gets more than half of Young Jae's health bar. My goodness. Faker with these 2 items completed is very, very scary. He does get his crown broken, as this Drake is going to be secured. The second of the game here at 20 minutes in.
Yeah, it's Infernal Soul, but I don't know how relevant it's going to end up being if this game continues at the pace it's on. Oner looking for Taehoon here, not going to connect, but the draft is one thing, right? But and I didn't really like the idea of running this back. I could tell you didn't really either. we both wanted to see some adaptations, but they ran the early game better than what happened in game 1. Things looked better. It's just that when things go wrong, when we get past the recipe, when you have to actually freestyle and flex as Kwangdong Freaks and actually use decision making, you're no longer in CV Max's like step 1 to 12 how to beat T1. That's when things get a little bit shaky for the squad, and it's something that they haven't really grown and improved that much. Yeah, that's why we were zooming on this earlier. The Herald was denied. That's why they didn't get anything out of that objective, which is what they just committed super hard for. But yeah, I want to see this team learn to adapt, and that's something that throughout this year we haven't seen. We've seen the game plan has changed, but it hasn't been on flexing and realizing, okay, how do we turn this composition around? As Dudu is trying for this.
Yeah, he's down extraordinarily low. He's going to go golden. Zeus going to bide his time here as rocket jump. Bulldog's going to come forward. Zeus presses his body slam button, and that will allow him to get out of there just fine. No worries there at all. As Oner, Keria, Gumayusi just chasing after Taehoon and Jun, as Faker was just by himself here on this top side of the map, getting work done onto the inner turret. Not sure what a Sejuani is supposed to be able to do about this situation, and a lot of this is coming from the fact that Zeus just drawing all of this pressure. There's not a whole lot of ways to kill him at this point in time as well. Man, he's so far ahead in farm also. 43 CS up, now has his Zhonya's complete, and hasn't gone for the tank route. He's actually gone for that more damage route. I believe he had a Sunfire Cape completed in the last game.
I do like this in Zeri when you have the just magic build, which also has Zhonya's, where you're like, okay, I can get in there on top of the Zeri. I've got cooldown boots. I might get 2 body slams off. I could push her away. Same, of course, to be said of the Tristana, who's trying to all into you. You still provide peel when you're not going for the tank build, but you also then have that peel be lethal. You're coming into me, you die. And, I mean, you can see it in the side lane as well. When your team is ahead, you don't need to be tanky because they can come save you. You could put on a lot of damage to this Jax. And 22 minutes in, this Baron is up. Felio's almost on 3 items here. Just not much Kwangdong Freaks can offer.
Yeah, Gumayusi about to run out of Severin, but that should be a-okay. Is now Bulldog going to dive on top of Faker yet again. Of course, explosive charge kind of good when your opponent builds a crown, but not when he's mega fed. I guess he's not that fed, but still, when he's got a Gragas that can turn up and just take down any sort of threat, he's going to be absolutely fine.
And now this is going to be the Baron going over. All it takes is 1 failed attempt from the Tristana, and that is going to be your push-to-win condition here as T1.
Well, Keeper's Verdict going to be used onto the Sejuani as well. That will guarantee the Baron is now Jun. Oh no! He was separated. Emperor's Divide is going to throw the Jax into the meat grinder. And now Young Jae also going to be snared up here, slowed down by the barrel as Zeus is chasing after him. He does have a cask, and he is going to throw it. Gets the flash out at least from the Sejuani.
I mean, Yuumi, a champion normally that has some of the lowest deaths in terms of supports because you're always attached, you're always untargetable. Taehoon?
Okay, well, he's looking to try and escape from this one. Goes on a little bit of a journey there. Is now thinking about channeling the back. I think he realized that he wasn't going to be able to escape from that one as, yeah, Faker is going to turn up. And once again, Zeus is going to be there. Finds an assist utilizing his Everfrost. Very nice.
Those soul laners, man, just being so pesky here and preventing Kwangdong from doing anything is, yeah, I mean, the crown here is pretty useless against Tristana, as it turns out. But Faker, once the cooldown's burnt, he's like, okay, Bulldog, you're in our territory now. You think you're on your side of the map, but we've actually taken control of this long ago. And then, I mean, I was making the joke about the Yumi, but, I mean, this is a high-death game for a Yumi. It's been a high-death series for her because they just have had no modicum of control at all whatsoever. And he's just another casualty here as the blow-up is real.
Oh, it is. And now Bulldog is underneath the enemy turret. Zeus is going to use his Zhonya's Hourglass and then will just body slam his way out. Seems a little bit immortal after that singular death that he had. He's decided that he does not want to do that ever again. And a back is going to come through, thankfully, with the shield. They are able to channel that one. So Young Jae able to go home. Gumayusi helping take down this inhibitor turret.
It's a strong 4-1 here, let's just say.
Yeah, I would say so.
That's another inhib down here for T1. Or down by T1 as Zeus is just pushing on the top side. No sums, doesn't matter. Just going to be able to get this one, and T1 kite back to Infernal Soul Point. It just feels like a slow and painful death here for Guangdong Freaks. They've got a decent amount of wave clear with this Tristana, so it makes it difficult to push even further. But Baron's still up for another minute. This perma prio that they now have with super minions means that there's just never going to be map control here. And you had a Tristana, you had a Jax, you had a Zeri that can comfortably sit in mid and farm. And we could have been looking at a 25-minute mark here where Guangdong Freaks' late game win conditions come online. But it's not the reality we're living in anymore.
Nope, it's not the case. And T1 once again, they found that mid game, they found the team fights and skirmishes, and they did what this composition does best, which is fight better than everyone else. And honestly, like, they have so many brilliant tools in those exact situations. And I think this series we have seen Melio shine more than we have in any other moment, right? You can keep people at arm's length so beautifully with the fire kick, as well as being able to buff up Gumayusi to pretty extraordinary levels. Even when he has lower range weaponry, doesn't actually matter, as Oner isn't going to quite find an ultimate there.
It's a good point you raised, though, because Aphelios, he's low range, high damage, but if he actually gets fed, which we're seeing T1 just funnel resource into him. Okay, hold on, Faker.
That is going to be an ultimate looking to try and catch Faker. Somehow he weaves around it, and Young Jae is going to look a little bit silly. They broke the crown. That's a thing that happened.
Yeah. I mean, Aphelios' damage, though, going back to the point you raised, is balanced around the fact that he probably can't hit you most of the time. But when he gets fed and they put all these resources into him and he can hit you all the time, well, that's just not fair. It's like almost as broken as LeBlanc having wave clear.
Yeah,
pretty topical.
Yep, that is true. That is something that we haven't had to deal with so far this series. However, there have been equally as ridiculous things, and Bulldog getting eviscerated is going to be one of them there. Great gale force forward from Gumayusi to get rid of the Tristana, who went from 3-0 to 3 deaths very, very quickly. Bomba comes forward. Zeus going to be able to lock down the Zeri. The cat is going to fall once again. I'm starting to feel bad for Yumi. What is going on here? As now T1 are just going to take down the Nexus. Emperor's Divide just to give the Sand Soldiers some time in the sun. And yeah, Dudu, he went golden for a moment, but he will still fall. And Faker collects that kill before they take down the Nexus. A clean 2-0.